You got to find the right inking tool that's right for you, not right for somebody else. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So let's choose an inking brush, and we're going to choose one that's pixel, because Clip Studio also you can use a vector inking, which is pretty cool. So let's do this. Let's say that on this type pencil layer, let us pretend like on type pencils, because now you want to ink things. And we tightened up our pencils here. And we put it in blue. I know you guys have probably seen some artists work with blue so that they know what layer that they're on, or I guess it comes from blue, the photo blue pencils back in the day. And you're like, what is a photo blue pencil? Back in the olden times, if you wanted to scan in a drawing and you didn't want your sketchy lines to be shown, you could use what was called a photo blue pencil. And it was this pencil, it was in blue. That's what it was. It was a blue pencil. And it didn't show up once you scanned it in. All right, so we got this little face here, and what else will we do? We will go ahead and bring this layer down. So we can probably hide that layer right there. So what you want to do is, and this doesn't have to be this. Actually one of the best things you can do is put your initials there. Now go look for a pen. Now let's take our pen, go over here to our color, make the pen black. And this is your pen tool up here. So our pen tool, now you see I got a bunch of pens. These are Robert Marzullo's pens. They're fantastic. You got markers, and I got some perspective tools in here that are, well, they're kind of hit or miss, to be very honest with you. Some of them are awesome. Some of them are like, that's not big enough for how I work. But I bought them, so there you go. So Real G pen, for all my real G's out there. You're going to go through pretty much the same process. So I like to just do that when I ink. Everybody's going to ink a little different way. And I like to overdraw a bit. Like this. Now, the Real G pen is fine. It's got a little taper on the tail of it that I like. So when you have this little taper like this, it makes it a little bit easier to connect the lines. That's why I like the taper. Now, there's this other G pen. It's got a little bit more pixelation, probably because I'm zoomed in so close. But this G pen, I can go in really, really tight with this. Not that I can't do that with other pens. But this is an okay pen. We have a textured pen right here, or at least I got one. And you can adjust the taper. Like, this is pretty cool, but with the texture pen. So up here, this use different tools with fingers and pen. For some reason, when I click onto that, I can, gives me pressure sensitivity. So now if I press hard, it's giving me this really big line. If I press light, so you may or may not like that, depending on how experienced you are at drawing, because it could do, I wasn't trying to make it do that. I was trying to go in lighter, but this takes a very light touch for this particular pen. And there's a calligraphy pen. I do not use this at all. That's because I don't do calligraphy. We have a tapered pen, And so what I think a good idea for you to do, because this is not an inking course, but you definitely want to see, because you may want to do hatching. You may not want to do hatching. This will get into customizing everything for your brushes. And here is, even though there will be a section where we go over all of the settings of the brushes, the biggest thing for you to do, it really is trial and error. I mean, once you know what everything is, it's basically just trial and error to see how you feel. And here's the other thing about custom brushes is, with your custom brushes, you will, depending on how much better you get at art and how quicker you improve, you may have to adjust some of the tools that have been your standbys. You may have to adjust some things, and that's okay. So just to let you know, like, tools are not permanent. They can change, they can grow with you, especially with the paint brushes. So now over here, we're going to broaden this out a little bit, because here's what I want you to see. Over here it says new raster layer. This is a raster layer. We zoom in, it's going to be pixelated. Over here, right next to it, it's going to say new vector layer. I want you to press that. I'm going to go back up to my real G pen here. Now this is very cool. This is the cool thing about the vector layer. So watch this. I'm going to overdraw here. And you're like, what? What are you doing? You weird person? Okay. So these are vector brushes. Now, if you zoom in, they are pixelated. And for those of you that work with vectors, you're like, that's not much of a vector. If you go into eraser, you get a vector eraser. So check this out down here. So if we go here, I'm going to click vector eraser. So I'm going to go into here. I want to make sure that you can see where the vector eraser is. So I got to find it. By the way, you're not going to memorize all this stuff. You're just not. Don't even worry about memorizing all of it, because I don't. I used to think that if I memorized it, it made me look smarter for some reason, or you all would believe me a lot more as an instructor. Go under erase. That makes sense, right? Go under erase. Click the eye icon for vector eraser. Now check this out. I have this set to where, so the first one is erase touched areas. Okay, so if we put it on this, so this is a straightforward eraser, right? That's just what that is. And over here, right next to it, erase up to a section. So check this out. I just touch this. I can touch the edge of that and get rid of these edges. Very, very cool. Except for when you do that. Now, it doesn't work every single time, but it works most of the time. See, I got rid of these little edges right here. Look at that. Now it's cleaned up. Now I can go back to my pen. And wherever there's an intersection at, so that's a whole line. So this didn't intersect. So if I did that and then went back to it, I wouldn't do that, but. And this, and right next to it is the whole line. So if I click onto this, it just erases the entire whole line. So also you can see, if I go under this little box, the operation tool, I can then manipulate this and move this around and reshape this, because it is a vector image. It's just a vector brush with a bit of a pixelated thing here. So you're just going to select that, which is, it is very interesting. And there's also a different brush tool that's over here, and I forget where it is because I don't use it very often. And I will definitely have that by the time that we're ready to dive deeper into it, because it's just one of those things where I just don't remember where it is. Like I said, it's a huge program. So that is you picking your pen and your ink. The next thing that we're going to go through is you picking out so you got pencil, type pencil, eraser so far. We got your inking tools, and the next thing that we're going to do is look at the brushes. They have a lot of settings to them, but let's see if we can get at least one go-to brush. So I'll see you in the next video.